Welcome to the free workshop where we're going to be breaking down the social season survival guide. And what prompted me to do this was literally because I have a million social events coming up, and I thought it'd be useful for us to, as summer is kind of fast approaching, knuckle down on what can typically throw a lot of people off track, especially people who like to go out and socialize and eat and drink and all the rest of it, and they don't want to feel like they are missing out, but then they also have goals that they care about, right? And I'm guessing that's why you're here. So just a bit of housekeeping before we get going. Like I say, put one in the Zoom chat if you are here present, you can hear me, and you can see my screen. Pop your phone away, or don't pop your phone away if you're watching on your phone, but take some notes as if the slides aren't here. So don't be doing this whilst doing something else. I want your full attention. Take some notes because we this is going to be recorded, but it's good to for memory, and remind me to hit record, which I've already done. So let's crack on. So it should take about 15 minutes, I'm gonna guess. But the reason you want to stick around to the end is obviously you've come here for a reason. You want to know how to drop body fat while still eating and drinking out. You want to know how to remain in control despite lots of social commitments. And at the end, we're also going to be offering a special one-time bonus for anyone who's on the call tonight. So yeah, stick around to the end. A little bit about me, if you don't know already, is I have now coached over 100 women, which is crazy. And I guess so. I've been on my own journey essentially. I'm not a fitness influencer. I'm not someone who's quite happy eating chicken, rice, and broccoli all day. I lost 15 kg and I've managed to keep that off, and I love food. So I guess I know the stuff that you probably feel very overwhelmed with trying to figure out when you're scrolling on Instagram and TikTok and you've got all these fitness influencers in your face. I am not that person. I've been where you are. I'm very social and I love my food. And I think there's probably some of you here today thinking, well, all right, great, it worked for you, but will it work for me? So I just want to take you through a couple of my clients who this works really well for. So we had Chelsea, who was a busy mum. She was a shift worker and she worked in hospitality. So she was reliant basically a lot of the time on the pub food. So she wasn't, dead social, but she had the same challenges in that respect. And she tried so many diets up until this point. She tried Slimming World. She'd tried meal replacement shakes at work instead of going for the pub food. She tried it all, but nothing stuck long enough for her to, stay consistent with it. With the weight, even if she lost some weight, would always come back eventually. We've got Molly. Molly works in events. She's often off-site, so she's here, there, and everywhere. She's surrounded by food vans and beer trucks and all the nice food and drinks and the party culture, right? Everyone around her is indulgent, and she's never managed to stay consistent up until this point due to that lack of routine, due to that lack of structure week to week, and all of those challenges as well. And yet she managed to make amazing progress within the first few months of being on the program. Finally, we've got Claire. She was massively under eating when she came to me. She was eating less than 1,200 calories on some days. Um, she never stepped foot in a gym. She didn't feel confident doing that. And between the before photo you're seeing here and the after photo there, that was achieved all with home workouts. So she never did step foot in a gym. And she worked a desk job. So she was sat down pretty much all of the day. So she had those challenges as well. So just put a me in the chat right now if any of these client stories that I've just kind of ran through resonate with where you're either at right now or challenges that you've maybe come up for you in the past. So I'm guessing you probably feel like a bit frustrated with starting again every single Monday at this point. And the summer plans are racking up, and it gets to Sunday evening, and it's like, oh, I've fallen off track again. I'm gonna be on it this Monday, and that kind of keeps happening over and over again as a cycle. And like I say, summer plans racking up. It's starting to feel like, is there any point? And then you remember that there is because you have a goal. And you're here for a reason, right? You're a social foodie. You want to join in. You want to enjoy life. You want to have fun, but you also want to feel good in your bikini or your festival clothes, or you want to feel confident on the beach. So that's those two opposing sort of feelings can be really challenging to deal with sometimes. And you probably feel like you can do the thing, you can do the socializing, you can do your work, and you can stick to your diet for a certain amount of time. And then at some point, exercise or sticking to the diet gets deprioritized, and it feels just overwhelming trying to do everything. Something always falls off or sends you off track eventually. So I'm going to run you through the three key or top mistakes that I often see. Number one is going into every social occasion telling yourself that you're not going to go too far, and then you do, in fact, go too far. So the mistake I see all the time is people just being really vague, like, oh, I'll just have one or two. Oh, it doesn't need to be a mad one. And then you do end up having a mad one because, like, say that feeling comes where you're just like, I want to enjoy life. I want to enjoy my time. And if that's a pattern that you've recognized in yourself, then definitely listen up because I hate to break it to you, this is going to keep happening unless we implement some of this stuff that I'm about to talk about. Mistake number two that I see is people going over accidentally, over their calories, off of their plan, skipping a workout or whatever, and feeling so guilty about that one event that the whole weekend or the whole week then is written off. You wake up like hungover, or you've got like that dry mouth that you get after having a Chinese, or you wake up, you're like, oh, I've done it again, I've gone too far. At that point, you're not going to feel motivated to go and do your workout or go and eat a salad. So, you're more likely to go and seek that comfort in a McDonald's or staying on the sofa all day with snacks. And mistake number three that I see is complete opposite end of the spectrum, where people actually they say no to doing things that they really want to do, and they don't let themselves indulge or enjoy themselves, and then they feel like they've missed out or they've had to really restrict. And so this is why I have done this workshop today, because I think you can have both. It's exactly why I made this, and this is how I've navigated my, busy social periods. So just pop a one in the chat if you are still here, if you're still paying attention, and we're going to go into it. So, like I say, take notes. Step one, 5 steps to this. Step one is going to be planning ahead. And I've put optional using a food diary here because you don't have to use something like MyFitnessPal if you're not that way inclined. However, if you're in a calorie deficit, if you are dieting, you probably are already familiar with tracking. And essentially, what we're trying to do here is think ahead of time. What do we think we're going to consume when we're at this event? Now, I'm not saying, sit down, look at your entire social calendar, and map out every single one, what you want to eat, what you want to. No, I'm just talking 5 minutes at the start of the day, when that day comes, just plan a little bit ahead. Have a little look online at the menu, see what you fancy. And then if you are using a food diary, then you can input that data into there so that you can then work the rest of your day around it, right? We are probably going to be having something that is higher calorie than what we would usually have for dinner or for brunch or whatever it is where you're going out or if you're having drinks. So you are going to have less calories to play with in the rest of the day. And so to combat that, what we really need to do to not let you go into the event starving hungry is we want to focus on two things, which is protein. So think about lean proteins, which means food that's got protein in, like chicken or whatever, but it's not breaded, or it's yogurt, but it's 0% fat, so that we're saving those calories for that big, event. And also really filling up on stuff like mushrooms, vegetables, stuff that's really low calorie. We're not frying stuff in oil, we're using spray oil. That sort of thing is going to be really helpful. Um, to save on those calories so we can have them for later and not starve ourselves going into it. So what we're going to have to do is, yes, skip the oils. We're going to have to maybe skip the Biscoff that we have in our porridge oats usually in the morning, or the latte that we usually get on the way to work, to get a decent amount of food in before we go into that event without going over your calorie allowance. And now, if you don't track calories, that's fine because it's the same concept. Have a look at what you're likely to fancy on the menu and just spend the rest of the day on the stuff that isn't in, right? So like if you're thinking, oh, I'll have a carbonara, maybe, that's if you're thinking of something with like oily marinades, or you're thinking of those heavy pasta pizza dishes, that sort of thing, then they're going to be quite high in carbs and fats. And so, therefore, we want to take those out of the rest of the day. So, like I say, there's things like granola, lattes, all of those things that we might usually enjoy on our typical day. We're just going to pull back on those so that we've got more room to play with in the evening. And the thing is like people go out and their coaches will say, oh, order the chicken salad, order this really grilled lean protein option, which is fine, but you might not want the highest protein, the lowest calorie thing on the menu, and that's okay. And that's exactly why we're doing it this way, so that you can flex the rest of your day and not compromise on what you really do want. And that's really important, to order what you want, not what you think you should have. Because I guarantee you, if you see someone next to you eating what you wanted, you'll still be thinking about it in 2 weeks' time, and that's not fun. Um, However, oh, by the way, so yeah, calories are online for most restaurants. I have actually compiled like a booklet of all of the popular restaurants and stuff. So for those more independent places that don't have their calories on online, you can use that as sort of like a reference guide. So if that's helpful, just DM me guide on Instagram, and I'll send that over for free. But that all being said, some things will inevitably take you over your calories, which we're going to go on to next. You can't drink 5, 6 beers in a calorie deficit unless you're literally just going to be starving hungry the rest of the day. It won't fit in. You just can't. I hate to break it to you. Maybe if you're a 6'6" guy, yeah, you can get away with it, but us women, not usually. And so yeah, that's fine now and again, but if you're going out quite a lot, if you've got a lot of social events, it's going to get in the way. If you're a beer drinker and you like to drink beer, that's going to get in the way. And that's why we, in the program, step number 2 is scoring each event using the 3W method. So what that is what, where, who, and each element gets a score out of 5. So what is it? Is it your big holiday of the year? Is it your one festival of the year that you love going to? Or is it just like a random Friday afternoon, sun's out, let's go to the beer garden situation? If it's that, it's like a 1. If it's the biggest holiday of the year and you're really excited about it, it's the 5, right? Where is it a Michelin star restaurant? Is it somewhere you've traveled quite far to try? Is it somewhere you're really excited about a certain dish? Or is it just your local around the corner? Or is it a menu that just really doesn't excite you? Again, 1 would be at the bottom, 5 is like really exciting. And who are you sharing this moment with? I'm going to Venice with my mum, for example, in a few weeks, which I'm super excited for. And you can bet that I'll be having a few red wines with my mum. So that's going to get like a high score, right? Because that's really important to me. It's really precious memories that we're building. Similarly, I've got a hen do, which you'd think would be a massive blowout, but I'm not that close to the bride, and I'm not there for a big drinking weekend because I've got so much other stuff going on around it that it's just not that important to me. So score who it is out of 5, and also, are you doing this because you feel pressure maybe from this group to drink and join in and eat whatever, or are you doing it for you? That's really important as well. And basically, every event is going to get a score that is out of 15. And if it's over a 10, well, if you have those beers and you wake up in the morning, you're probably going to say, do you know what? That was worth it. That was awesome. I loved that, it was worth it. If it's under a 10, I'm sorry. I think you're probably going to wake up and feel pretty crap if you've gone over your calorie allowance or your original plan, right? Your how much you wanted to indulge. So the action for you now is I want you to, on this call, think about your next social event that's coming up and score it using this method. Pop the score in the chat. So what is it? Where is it? And who are you going with? And out of 5, how important are all those elements? And if it's under a 10, we're going to stay on plan. If it's over a 10, then look, there's a bit of room, more room for flexibility, because we've deemed it worthwhile in advance, right? So have a little think. This is important to note. Not every event can be over a 10. All right. If fat loss is your goal, not every event can be over a 10. There is joy to be found in other elements of these social events that is not food and drink, and that's really important as well. So yes, you can have a really, exciting thing coming up. Doesn't necessarily mean you need to, indulge or go off plan. Like me tonight, I went out with my friends. We went to a fire dancing thing. It was my last night on the island, and I didn't drink, but I had a great time just seeing everyone else getting really jolly and just socializing and stuff. So it's not always about the food and drink, right? Um, and yeah, some events you will want to let loose and you will want to have all three courses or drink too many beers, and all of that stuff is fine. But to avoid the regret, you're simply going to be intentional about which ones those are, all right, instead of impulsive. Which ones are worth it? Because it's so easy to get carried away in the moment. As we all know, it's like, YOLO. I've never said that in my life, but there you go. So yeah, we're going in with our eyes wide open, no regrets, but we're also having standards. And not everything can be over a 10. All right. If everything's over a 10 on your social calendar, you need to up your standards of what's worth it. Right. Step number three, schedule in the controllables. Walking. Can you go for a walk rather than, can you walk to the event rather than getting a taxi, or can you get more walks in that day to up your step count? Can you alternate with water to ensure that your alcoholic drinks with water to ensure that you're still hydrated? Can you make sure that you're drinking enough water throughout the day so when you have all that salty food in the evening, um, you are hydrated? Can you do your exercise before rather than thinking, oh, I've just finished work, it's Friday, I'm going out. Can you get it in on the Friday morning rather than relying on your Saturday tired self to try and do it? And hangover fixes, oh my goodness, I can't tell you how many times the hangover has resulted in a worse calorie surplus than the night out itself. All right. These are, if you love a fry up in the morning after a hangover, plan it in, just like you would with the social event itself. So these are going to be non-negotiable. So you need to make them realistic, but we need to set ourselves up for success. So exercise before if you can, or um, get some comfy walking clothes out at the bottom of your bed for when you wake up so that you don't end up just staying in your dressing gown or your PJs all day. And yeah, hangover meals, they can be treated in the same way as the event. Track them in advance. If you know you like a Mackey's or a big fry up after a night out, work it into the day. Plan ahead for the next day, not just the event itself. Step four, know your limitations. Know your limitations. Emphasis on the your, not your mate who can do loads of shots and not be on the floor and buy everyone rounds and not be scared to wake up and check their bank account. What are your limits? Where's your nice, alcohol? Where's your nice tipsy level? Because none of us go out, or we shouldn't be going out, I don't think, with the intention of getting absolutely, hammered to the point where we feel sick and the room's spinning and stuff. We don't plan for that sort of thing, right? It happens because we go over our limit of that holding on to that nice tipsy feeling. We chase that feeling and it never quite stays. So where's that level for you? For me, that I know that's like 4 drinks. If it's pre 4 drinks, I'm having a good time. If it's more than 4 drinks, I'm probably going to get a greasy kebab and text my ex. Like, what's your limit, right? Um, and extras when you're out at a restaurant, for example, if you know you won't be able to resist a cocktail, or you know that you won't be able to resist a dessert, don't kid yourself and say, no, 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 I'm not going to do it. Like, that's fine. Just again, just plan that in. Know yourself. And a good non-tracking friendly method that I actually really like to use is the 2 out of 5 method. So when you go out for a meal, you've usually got 5 elements, right? You've got your starter, your main course, your dessert, your drinks, and sides. So if you obviously you're going to have a main course, I'm assuming. If you can just pick one of those extra indulgences, then we're going to have some good damage limitation there. There's only so much, that you'll go over. If you go for all of those extras, the, you could have a lot, you could rack up calories very, very, very quickly. It's going to be sort of limited if you're just picking 2 out of those 5 elements. That's a really good method that I like to use. Hunger. Where are you on the hunger scale? I don't agree with these fitness influencers that say, oh, eat a big meal before you go out for your meal. So then you don't feel, you feel fuller quicker. Like, well, no, I'm going out for a meal because I want to enjoy that, you know? But also, don't go into an event where there's a buffet, for example, at a number one on this scale where you're starving, okay? Because you're going to make it feel a lot harder to resist and stick to that plan that you just set yourself. And similarly, fullness, try not to eat until you feel sick, right? The aim with food is to enjoy. There's a Japanese thing, I can't remember what they call it, like hashi rocky. No, I don't know. But they say stop when you're about 80% full, and that's really good because it does take your brain sometimes some time to receive the signal from your stomach that you've had enough food. So if you can eat till about 80% full and actually not get to the point where you feel, unable to move and you're undoing your buttons and you want to pass out, that's usually the sign where you've gone too far, you've eaten over your fullness level. So listening to your signals and taking this stuff into account is really, really, really useful. So we're on to step five, fifth and final step. Put a two in the chat if you are still paying attention, you're still here. Step five, mindset. No doubt is the first one because if you always go back on your word at the moment, if you're constantly saying that thing where you're like, oh, yeah, I'll just have one or two, oh, I'll be good, and then you're always going back on it, there's probably a part of you telling yourself that you're going to fail before you even really try. Before you even commit to the bit, right? So from now, no doubt, if you've made a plan, commit to this, okay? Next one's no double Fs, all right? This stands for no F ups. If you F up, fine. Like, forgive yourself. We all do it at the end of the day. We all F up now and again. But the key here is don't F up twice in a row. All right, make the next choice a good one that moves you closer, not further away from your goals, and move on. All right, don't do that thing where you turn the whole weekend into a write-off. Don't beat yourself up. Just make the next choice a good one and move on, whether that's a healthy meal, whether that's not skipping two workouts in a row, whatever it is. Just make the next choice a one that moves you closer towards your goals rather than further away. And third and final, no write-offs. The event is the event, all right? Anything around that does not need to be written off. If you think about it in the year, say you had like an event every single Friday night, that'd be 52 days where you could potentially go off plan. However, if you then use that Friday night and Saturday and Sunday to then be, off plan because you're going to start again Monday and be good, that's 156 days. I think that's right, math, in a year. Now, that has a hell of a lot more chance to have an impact on your overall progress than just 52 days, right? So, no write-offs is my big rule. And the last thing that I really want you to remember here is that challenge, it's going to feel challenge, yes. Sometimes it will feel hard. Um, it's going to feel, I just realized I said it's going to feel challenge. Actually haven't slept yet tonight, so just bear with me. But yeah, sometimes it's going to feel hard. And that's something that we've got to get comfortable with right now. Okay? Because one, we can do hard things. Okay, let me tell you, you can do hard things. Number two, that resistance that you feel, it's coming from you doing something different. It's happening because you're doing something different. You're evolving. You're moving yourself closer to the version of you that you want to be. So yes, it's going to feel challenging, but that's because you are growing and you're moving in the right direction. So, everyone who's watching this, whether it's live, whether it's on record, everyone who watches this will now go and do three things. They'll either go and try it on their own. They're gonna go and they're gonna implement the tools. They've taken this seriously and they're gonna commit to actually implementing it um, this summer. Or they're going to do nothing. Some of you will go away and do absolutely nothing with this information, in which case, probably a waste of time. Not sure why you joined. But three, some of you might be thinking, well, I've tried this on my own. And I keep falling off still, or I'm not quite sure how to implement some of these methods without that extra bit of structure or that extra bit of support or accountability. And actually, it can be very helpful to have someone in your corner who's been there. I've coached hundreds of other women through it, and I can support you in knowing exactly how to handle the curveballs that will come your way. And that, the challenges that you're going to face, basically, I've been there, I've coached other people through it. And so if you think that you would benefit from that bit of extra support or accountability, then you can book a call with me. And actually now could be the best time to do this. If you've been waiting for a sign, this might be it. Because right now we've got a couple of months before summer is in full swing. And because for anyone on this masterclass, whether you're watching it live or on record, I am offering an exclusive masterclass only offer. It's only for 3 women, so if you want it, make sure you message me on Instagram as quickly as you can with the word offer. But whether you go for it or not, all right, whether you want to work with me or not, I urge you, do not be that person who does number one and just does nothing, just walks away having had all this free value, free information, and does nothing with it. Don't let yourself be now. If you're unhappy where you are now, don't let yourself be where you are now in 3, 6, 12 months' time. That feeling of regret sucks. Do it for your future self, okay? If you know that if you're sitting there thinking, I know I need to take action, then do it, all right? Do it for your future self. You're here, so I know that you care about this goal. Commit to the change. You know, you deserve to be where you want to be, wearing what you want to wear, feeling the way you want to feel. So whether that's with me, whether that's on your own, I don't mind, but don't do nothing. And at this point, if you've got any questions, you can pop them in the chat, or if you think of them after you've gone away after this call, that's fine too. And you can message me on Instagram or on WhatsApp if you've got WhatsApp, my WhatsApp number already, and we can go through any questions that you have. But has anyone got any questions right now? If not, no worries. Thank you all for joining, and I hope that you took value from this video. I hope my Wi-Fi managed to hold up. Um, yeah, like I say, message me the word offer on Instagram if that's something that you want to go ahead with. And if you've got any questions at a later date, you can message me on there as well and we can have a chat. But yeah, hope you all have a lovely evening. I'm going to fly back to the UK very shortly, so I'll be jet lagged for the next few days, but I'll try and get back to anyone as quickly as possible. And yeah, good to have you all here. Thanks, guys. Catch you in the next one.